iteration of From the Couch. I am your host, Tony Jordan.
I'm Uche Osora, and we have a special guest today.
Yeah, we do. So last week we had one of our team members who walked through a lot of training talks with us, a lot of things of growth and how to really expand on individuals that work with us, as well as some plans and stuff that we plan to move forward with. But on today's episode, I have a buddy that I grew up with in Michigan. Go Blues! When I'm rocking the Michigan Block M today.
He's a Michigan guy too.
All right, brother. Yeah.
So Ron Sneller is a financial guru, and I have leveraged him in some of the personal things that I've done in my planning for the future, my financial future, and I've followed his podcast, his TikTok videos. I've followed YouTube videos, and he and another buddy of ours put some stuff together relatively frequently. And I feel it's imperative for us to bring on somebody. We talk about teaching, we talk about time on a consistent basis here from the couch. And Ron, if you don't mind, kind of giving a little intro and some bona fides of where you come from. One thing I do have to caveat is that Weeghman and Briggs is not giving financial advice. This is a buddy who has a lot of skills and a lot of training under his belt that I think he's got a lot of important things to say. I, Tony Jordan, use Ron Sneller. But Ron, go ahead and shoot for us and just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Thanks, brother. So I graduated with Tony back from Kersley High School in good old Flint, Michigan, back in the fall of 1998, or I guess the spring of 98 is when we graduated. Went on to the University of Michigan, Flint, got a bachelor's degree there, actually in education, and spent my 20s teaching in traditional school systems. Got to be in my early 30s and wanted to have a little bit of a career change, and went into financial services, and so now I do financial education. I started out that journey in the mortgage industry, working with Rocket Mortgage out of Detroit. And from there, I've really just kind of evolved into a personal financial consultant. I am an insurance broker. I'm a Series 65 fiduciary investment advisor representative. I have an advanced retirement planning credential from the American College of Financial Services. But I'm also an entrepreneur. I invest in real estate. I do hard money lending. So you will not be hearing the kind of traditional financial advice out of me that you hear from guys like Dave Ramsey or the average, financial quote unquote advisor, down the street at your local Edward Jones there on the corner. I do things a lot differently, and it really works for a specific niche of clientele, especially those who are entrepreneurial minded. So yeah, thanks, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the intro to yourself and some skills that you've developed. You identified some things in life that I love the fact that you said that you did teaching first and foremost, because that was, like I said, our last podcast we talked about the training aspect of things, and that's something that Weeghman and Briggs started. We cut our teeth in training. We were doing training and teaching in the cyber realm, and one of the things that, as I said before, we're always going back to time and teaching, and so that's where I think that it's imperative for having skilled subject matter experts on our show to talk about what it is that they do and help train other people from they may not be aware of any of the products that you use or that you're pitching to your clientele. And if that gives us an opportunity of some viewership that you may not have in those that follow you, those that follow us may be incredibly interested, and this could be beneficial on your end to for those folks to be able to reach out. So we'll make sure that we'll definitely do that towards the end of the show, is give those details of how to reach you and just ask questions if that's fine with you.
Sure. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that. Yeah.
So one of the biggest products I think you and I have talked about is the self banking. Can you kind of give your kind of quick elevator pitch on what self banking is, and really how it's beneficial to at least look into it, if not invest into it.
Yeah, 100%. So, my planning process revolves around my beliefs, and I believe that the average American has really been lied to and taken advantage of by the very institutions that have promised to take care of our money. And when I say that, I'm talking about Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, the IRS, but especially the big banks. And I believe a lot of the financial advice that's out there, that's kind of perpetuated to the masses, it's really designed to profit the system much more than it's designed to benefit the American people. And, when we're talking about this self-banking system and compare it to what the traditional financial advice is, the average financial advisor is going to tell you to invest all of your money in a retirement plan, max out your 401k for the long term. And that is a date for most people, that's probably listeners of your podcast, 25, 30, 35 years into the future. And so when you follow that advice, what you're doing is you're locking up all of your money in Wall Street vehicles in a government-sponsored retirement plan where you have to pay hefty taxes and penalties if you want to access that money. And it makes Wall Street tons of fees over time. And it's designed purposely to give you very, very little liquidity. And so when you need access to cash, then you have to turn to who? The banks. And the average person, you kind of hear the average person, 1/3 of their income is siphoned off due to the various income taxes. And another 1/3 of their income is siphoned off managing their debt. And what I mean by that is just paying the interest, not even the principal down on all of these different loans that they have. And the average person has, and retirement planning is important. I mentioned earlier, I have an advanced retirement planning credential from the American College of Financial Services. But the average American, right here and now, they have a much greater need for financing than they do for retirement. And so what I show people how to do is to save money into a vehicle that's going to allow them to build equity within an appreciating asset. And when they're able to leverage that asset, borrowing against it, using it as collateral to self-finance personal purchases, whether it's things like automobiles, whether it's seed money as a down payment on rental real estate or other kind of cash flow producing assets, whether it's self-storage, whether it's laundromats, vending machines, car washes. We have a lot of people create their own system of self-financing. And at the end of the day, what the ultimate goal is to recycle and recapture all of the principal and interest of your purchases instead of transferring that money away to the banking system. Instead of lining their pockets, find a way to recapture that money and build wealth for yourself. At the end of the day, infinite banking is about a process, or it's about a system of recapturing and recycling the money and putting it back on your personal balance sheet to build you wealth instead of transferring that money over to the bank so the bank can use it to build their wealth.
Right. Yeah, so there is a process that, when I kind of tell the story of how you and I reconnected and talked about the infinite banking system, one of the questions that comes often is, well, you need X amount of dollars, a ton of money, to start right out the gate. And my response to that is that's absolutely not true. It's just another vehicle of almost like a savings account, if you could look at it in that regard. But instead of making 0.00000 infinite 0.01% on a savings account, you actually have a legitimate return on what you're putting into this system. So,
correct.
I definitely love the fact that one, you made yourself available for us to be able to chat with you. Me as a 42-year-old, my financial goals are a little different from Uche's, who may have some questions for you in his age bracket and things that make sense to him. But one of the major things that I start to look at is, why am I spending money to pay interest that could be coming right back to me? And I find that to be one of those situations that you kind of helped me open my eyes in that regard. And I don't know if everyone will be able to really get the grasp of this here in a 15-20 minute podcast, but we definitely want them to be able to at least go out, Google infinite banking, and then recognize that, hey, we just gave you a vehicle through Ron Sneller to reach out and ask about this question. So, Uche, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Something you touched on earlier was you were talking about putting that money back into the banker, the person's pocket. You know, how they can build their own wealth. What would you say is like probably the most valuable asset to put your money into? So like if you ask people, let's say, I want to say 45 and up, they'll say real estate. If you ask people under the age of 30, they'll say cryptocurrencies. So what would you say is the most valuable asset to invest in?
Yeah. You're not going to like my answer because there is no most valuable asset to invest in. The most valuable asset is yourself, your own training, your own skills, your own work ethic. There's no financial asset that's going to make you wealthy. The first thing you need to do is increase your income so you can purchase assets. And I'm well diversified. I do a little bit of everything, and every product out there works. It serves a specific niche. I have crypto. I have rental real estate. I do hard money lending. I have a lot of money invested in the stock market, but very little of my stock market holdings are in traditional retirement plans simply because I don't want that money locked up with taxes and penalties.
Gotcha.
Now, the product that we're talking about for infinite banking is none of those things. So what we use for infinite banking is we use a product that is a maximum funded cash value life insurance policy. And the reason that we use a maximum funded life insurance policy is for a couple of reasons. The real reason that we use life insurance is because of the way that the tax code treats life insurance. I heard a CPA one time on a PBS special say that life insurance is the single greatest advantage in the entire US tax code. Because when you put the money in, it grows tax-free. You can access the money tax-free by using a collateralized loan. The retirement income is tax-free. And then upon death, your wealth transfers to your family tax-free. Now, the life insurance itself is not an investment. It is like a bond substitute in your portfolio. Where I look at it as a banking alternative where you can get a bond-like return of 5 or 6%, but no risk of bonds. Now, everybody thinks that bonds are safe or they're stable. They're not. And everybody's learning that the hard way this year.
Yeah.
As they're raising interest rates, the price of bonds are crashing. Intermediate bonds are down 10%. Long-term bonds are down 20%. Long-term bonds have lost more money than the stock market has this year. Now, if we're going to use something as a banking system, all we're doing is we're saving money into this policy. We're creating an appreciating asset, very, very similar to real estate. Like when you make your mortgage payments, you're paying down that loan balance on your house.
Yeah.
At the same time, the asset is appreciating. Over time, you're able to grow equity, and you can access that equity by taking a home equity line of credit. When you borrow against the value of your house, it's tax-free because it's a form of a loan or form of debt, but you're not affecting the growth of your house. Like if home values in your area go up by 6%, your house is going to get the full 6%. The fact that you have a collateralized loan against it means nothing. And so we do something really similar, but we do it with the life insurance contract because we just have more control. Tony mentioned we use it as a savings vehicle, so we can control how much we want to save in it. Over time, we build up equity. And because unlike your money sitting in the bank, again, this is safe money. Cash in the bank earns 0.02%. And you got to pay income tax on that little bit of interest that you earn every year. But within a life insurance policy, you can earn much more competitive rates of interest. It's completely tax-free. But the key is when you want to access that money, instead of taking a withdrawal, which would kill your power of compounding, right? If I have $50,000 in that account earning 5% interest, if I need to use $50,000 as a down payment on real estate, well, if I withdraw that money, now I'm earning 5% on zero. So instead, what I do is I borrow against the value. So my entire $50,000 is still in the policy earning 5%. I'm able to collateralize that loan and use other people's money to acquire the real estate. And then I use the cash flow from the tenants to pay the policy back. So I'm using other people's money to access and acquire the property. And then I'm using other people's money, AKA the tenants in this case, to pay back that loan and re-collateralize my policy. Meanwhile, my policy is continuing to grow. So when I say that, and I know there's a lot of negative connotation to the word insurance, especially life insurance.
People think
most people think you can only use it when you die.
Big misconception there.
And so, and we, for infinite banking, we structure the policy in a very specific way. In fact, people have been taught that when you go to buy life insurance, you want to buy the highest amount of coverage possible for the lowest amount of cost. Part ways with as few dollars as possible. For infinite banking, we do the exact opposite. We simply want all of the tax advantages of life insurance, but we want to try to minimize the cost. So we take the life insurance benefit and we bring it down as much as government regulation allows, and then we're overfunding the cash. We're purposely putting in much more money over and above the minimum premium because we're turning this into a tax-free bank on steroids. And so at the end of the day, the infinite banking or the life insurance policy is not the investment. It's simply your storage tank for your working capital. So while you're in between deals, you're earning a competitive rate of interest. And then during your deals, as you're acquiring other cash flow producing investments, again, your money has tax-free, uninterrupted compound growth, and you're able to operate within a tax-free environment. It's a beautiful thing.
Why do you think that this knowledge isn't more widespread? Like a lot of people my age, 20 in their 20s, don't know this information.
Because they don't want you to know about it. Because every time somebody uses an infinite banking policy, you know what that means? The banks lose money. Wall Street firms lose money. All of these institutions, whether it's insurance companies, whether it's Wall Street, whether it's the banks, they're all competing over the hard-earned dollars of the average
person.
But when people take back, look, banking is the most profitable institution in the world. And when you can take back control of the banking function in your life, you end up recapturing and recycling hundreds of thousands of dollars over time, and that means that the banks lose out. And at the same time, Wall Street doesn't want you to do it either, because the money that's going into insurance policies isn't going into their coffers. Now, with that said, I just want to, again, just reiterate that I do not tell people to put every dollar they have into these policies.
Yeah.
The policy is simply a foundational element that helps you to reduce and eventually eliminate your reliance on banks, so you can actually invest more because it strengthens your cash position. And that money can go into the stock market, it can go into rental real estate, it can go into businesses. So it's really just one piece of what we do, but that's the reason. And so when you hear Dave Ramsey, for example, say stupid things like I think he says something like it's the payday lender of the middle class, I would counter that by saying you can look throughout history over the last 100 years at the very wealthy, successful, financially savvy people who have used this, and it's all documented.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go back to the Great Depression, and you can research this and look it up on Google. Don't take my word for it. Of J.C. Penney using values from his life insurance policy to float his business and get it through the Great Depression, as far as meeting payroll and employee benefits. You can go through the 40s and 50s and learn about how Walt Disney used cash from his policies to help fund Disneyland. Ray Kroc used it to help fund McDonald's, all the way to today. Athletes, musicians, Jay-Z, Waka Flocka, Jim Harbaugh from the University of Michigan just did a huge split dollar life insurance policy as a huge part of his compensation. And not only do all these wealthy and financially successful people use it, but more importantly than that, wealthy institutions use it as well. If you look up corporate-owned life insurance, corporations use these policies to fund their executive bonus plans. Guys like Brian Roberts, CEO of Comcast, and Jack Welch, when he built GE into the marvelous company that it was, a lot of his retirement benefit was funded with cash value life insurance, that he took tax-free income from that. And then when he died, the life insurance benefit paid back General Electric a lot of the benefit that it had to pay out for him. So the life insurance benefit ended up having a cash windfall upon his death back to GE. And then finally, bank-owned life insurance. Again, we go back to the banks. Their cash reserves, their Tier 1 capital, they don't keep that money in their own money markets and CDs. They put it into cash value life insurance, and it's very easy to look up. You just search BOLI, B-O-L-I. It's bank-owned life insurance, and you'll see that the largest banks, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. Bank of America has $24 billion of cash value in life insurance policies. Wow. And their books, their balance sheets are a matter of public record. They have more money in life insurance policies than all of their branches, buildings, and land combined. And that's saying a lot.
Wow. Follow the
so,
money.
As much of a teaching tool and entertainment is also a big piece of our podcast. And one, definitely appreciate the training aspect that you just gave us. From an entertainment side, you touched on Jim Harbaugh. I gave the Go Blue. So football season is upon us. For myself, tonight is my draft, my fantasy league draft, which is kind of cool because we're able to go to FedEx Field, and we're going to be drafting at the stadium, and some players, legacy players.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, will be coming around. So, kind of to spin real quick right before we close. Been a Lions fan your whole life.
That's depressing.
It is depressing. That's why I'm not a Lions fan anymore. But Hard Knocks is on. You watching it?
I have not seen that episode of Hard Knocks.
Okay.
I need to take the time to watch it.
Yep.
I hear that all of a sudden the Lions have become this, because of that episode, they've become this Cinderella team that everybody in the country is now rooting for.
But you
And
know
we
what,
got,
I know what's gonna happen.
I see Sports Illustrated just came out with their projection. I think it was Sports Illustrated said the Lions are going to sneak in there as the last team there,
Yeah.
the wild card.
Yeah, I would.
I'd love it. I don't know, but I'd love it if they did.
You know, it's funny. They've broken my heart so many times. And Ron, I would say go back to one of the episodes that.
Oh, yeah.
You see why I stopped being a Lions fan. So if you get an opportunity, definitely check that out. It was heartbreak is the easiest way to explain it. But yeah. So speaking of draft, that's here. It's coming up here in about an hour and a half. So you know, I get down to the stadium and get everything acclimated. But for the folks that are coming in, I think there's probably 13, 14 of us that are in this league this year. I think we got more people to join because of the location of where the draft is.
Oh, really? Just off of that?
Yeah, but it's a cool venue to have it at. And so, your predictions, Ron, what do you got? Where you got your Lions? We actually play one another. Commanders and Lions are week 2. So
week 2.
Yeah, at Detroit.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you this. I'm not drinking the Lions Kool-Aid. I got them at 5-12.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah,
I know you wanted me to say something crazy like, hey, we're gonna sneak into the playoffs and pick up our first playoff win since 1992, but I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
5-12.
It's been that long.
So, being a military guy around military people all the time here, I get that question quite frequently. Why don't you follow the Lions anymore? Like, that's your hometown team. I'm like, you don't understand disappointment. Like,
I know.
And I said, if I was going to follow a losing team, why not where I live at? And so, it was crazy. It was like one of the first years that I started following the Commanders. They go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm like, that never happens.
What do you think about your new quarterback?
I love Carson Wentz, to be honest with you.
Do you?
Yep, I do. I think he's just that. From his off the field stuff, I mean, I've read like a lot of good things about just his character and his faith, and I think that's a pretty remarkable touch to have as any leader in any position. Now, I absolutely have to say, and I hate saying this, Chase Young, Ohio State guy,
yeah, man.
leader on that team, no questions asked. I watch him, sitting on the sidelines right now because he's got the knee injury. That guy is cheering on offense, defense, special teams. I mean, he is there supporting. And so,
When's he supposed to be back?
game 5. Yeah, so the first 4 weeks.
It's about first month he's out. Yeah. Okay.
So, but yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, we can have you on another time down the road. I'm sure we'll get some connections that come from your end and then from our end as well. And anytime anyone has any questions, we'll put your contact info down below, and hopefully get some folks that are reaching out to you asking for your time and some training.
Yeah, wonderful, Tony. You guys, thanks so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun, except until we got to the football part, because I don't have much to cheer for. But we'll see. Maybe they'll shock the world.
That's right.
I hope so.
That's right. All right, brother, man. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll chat soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Take care.
All right,
All right,
bye-bye.
folks. That's it from the couch. Appreciate you joining us. Out.